Okay, good evening. I'm going to start today in the middle of Syria. And we are going to start in the middle of Syria presentation. And also, I'd like to get into the Iran. So if you have any question, anytime you can ask me, whatever. Okay? So, first video that I'm going to show you how Bashar al-Assad destroyed Syria, 2015. Okay, despite the expansion of ISIS and ongoing civil war and refugee crisis, Bashar al-Assad refuses to give up power over Syria. So, is al-Assad destroying Syria, or UN human rights chief has said an inquiry has produced evidence that war crimes were authorized in Syria at the highest level, including by President Bashar al-Assad in the spring of 2011. Hundreds of thousands of Syrians rose up in protest to demand democracy and freedom and end to the dictatorship of President Bashar al-Assad. By the way, I went to the eyeglass shop today because I can't see clearly the screen. And the guy told me, "Oh no, you didn't change your eyesight for past couple of years, so you don't need to worry about that. You need to buy eye drop, So I bought eye drop today." Okay, so before the show the video, very short one. Very short. アサドが指示を崩壊させたって。どっちが正しいのか。これ、彼女はね、アサドの悪口言ってるんですよ。instigate, implicated, decimate. で、短いビデオでね、これはね、これです。短いんで、これは2分30秒。Okay, 2 minutes 30 seconds.
As Syria struggles through an ongoing civil war and the terrorist group ISIS spreads through the region, there seems to be one person being blamed for the significant decline of the Middle Eastern country, Bashar al-Assad. So is Assad destroying Syria? Well, Syria was already suffering from a dynastic authoritarian regime since Assad's father seized power in the 1970s in a coup d'etat. When Bashar took over as the nepotistic ruler of Syria in 2000, he continued his father's repressive regime. He instigated severe crackdowns on any political dissent, private or public. The resulting backlash forced him to release a number of political prisoners to ease tensions, but it didn't work. By 2011, when much of the Arab world was revolting during the Arab Spring, Assad authorized the release of a significant number of terrorist leaders from prison. These terrorists would soon after regroup to form ISIS. This, coupled with violent crackdowns on protesters, turned the Arab Spring into an armed rebellion by the Syrian opposition, pitting the Sunni Muslim majority against Assad's Alawite Shia minority. As the civil war progressed...
By the way, she said Alawite. So Alawite are, by the way, Sunni. That's more type. Sunni. No. Shia. Alawite Shia. But country population is majority is Sunni. Okay?
Muslim majority against Assad's Alawite Shia minority. As the civil war progressed, Assad continued arresting citizens and was personally implicated in a number of war crimes by the UN, including the imprisonment and killing of his own citizens. By 2015, some 200,000 political prisoners alone had been jailed for speaking out against the regime. Although most of the Arab League, along with the US and EU, have demanded that Assad step down as president, he instead ran for a third term in 2014. His victory was widely considered illegitimate and the votes faked or coerced. Recent reports suggest that Assad has been assisting ISIS militarily in their spread across Syria. In the meantime, Assad's actions have forced 6.5 million residents out of their homes and 3 million out of the country, as well as decimating the economy and military. Reports say that Syria would not return to pre-civil war conditions for another 30 years at least, following the end of the conflict. In short, Bashar al-Assad is not only destroying Syria, but essentially helped facilitate the formation and rise of ISIS. To learn about where they're going, check out our video.
9.5 million Syrians have been forced to flee their homes. Over 3 million of those have fled the country.
There's a link to that video in the description below. Thanks so much for watching Tested News.
Okay, this video is typically American and Westerners' opinion. So this is different from former several videos I show you, but this is Westerners, West side people's opinion. Okay, just I told you, I don't know which one is accurate or which one is right or not. Okay, next one is I'm going to show the U.S. reporter. Okay, Assad and U.S. reporter battle over human rights violation. So U.S. reporter talking about criticized Assad. In a recent interview held in Damascus, U.S. news reporter grilled Syria's president Bashar Assad with barrage of questions surrounding allegations of human rights abuses and war crimes against the Syrian government. In a tense interview that the Times saw Assad seemingly catch the Yahoo News reporter off guard with his sharp response. Okay, just as I explained the Japanese explanation. これはね、シリアリポーターは当然シリア批判してるんですね。アサドが反論してる。で、この内容もどっちが正しいか分かんなくて。で、冷静に聞いてるとね、アサドもちゃんと答えてる。で、果たして何が本当か分かんない。人間侵害の写真をレポーター見せてるけど、それが写真とかそういうのってのは、もともと分かんないんですよね。FBI の写真とか言ってもね。信用できない。FBI そのまま信用できない。アサドは FBI 信用してない。こうやってプロパガンダとしてどうにでもなりますよと。で、アメリカが ISIS を支援してきた。で、アサド言ってんですね。まあそれもそうですけど、ISIS が窮地に立ったのは、ロシアが参加したからだと彼言ってる。FBI にしても、アムネスティのリポートにしても、証拠を見せなさい。で、証拠はだから、レポーターは証拠ですよって見せてるんですけど、アサド言ってるのは、そんな写真なんか信用できませんよって彼は言ってるんですね。だから彼喋ってるのを聞いてるとなかなかちゃんと答えてる。grilling 質問する。blindfolded pitiful ね。shred deptalize これは使わないですね。enjoin これもあんま使わない。emaciate これも使わない。ドクター、これも使わない。ドクターですよ。改ざんする。使わない。中身は改ざんするというの。ビザンティン。これ使いますね、時々。depict 使います。propagate。まあ、プロパガンダですけど、propagate ですね。greediness 使いますね。バーレルボンブ。これは、タル爆弾って時々出てくる。これは、クレマトリウム。これは使わないですね。クレマトリー。これもあんま使わないですね。あんま使わない単語を喋ってますね。アメリカのリポーター使ってるんだと思いますけどね。ということで、ちょっと見てみましょうか。Okay, let's have a look. This one? No. This one? Oh, yes, this one. Okay.
More about potential cooperation between the United States and Syria, but the problem that many would have with that is the continued allegations of human rights abuses by your government. Now, just today, we have a new report from Amnesty International about Sadaya prison, human slaughterhouse, they call it. 5,000 to 13,000 detainees hanged in mass hangings there. Horrific conditions, trials of blindfolded prisoners, 1 to 3 minutes, in length, no lawyers, secret, all in secret. This would, on its face, be contrary to every aspect of international law. What do you know about what's going on in that prison?
Let's first of all talk about the first part of your question, which is the problem for the United States to open a relation with Syria regarding the human rights. I will ask you, how could you have this very close relation, intimate relation with Saudi Arabia? Do you consider behaving as a human rights criterion?
Yes, but I'm not interviewing the King of Saudi Arabia right now. I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm asking you about reports of human rights abuses in your prison, in your country.
You own the question, I own the answers. So that's my answer. So when you answer about Saudi Arabia and your relation, you can put yourself in that position. Second, the United States is in no position to talk about human rights. Since Vietnam War till this moment, they killed millions of civilians. If you don't want to talk about 1.5 million in Iraq without any assignment by the Security Council. So the United States is in no position to say, I don't open a relation because of human rights, and they have to use one standard. This is first. The second part now.
Yes.
Now I can move to that report, like many other reports published by Amnesty International, put into question the credibility of Amnesty International, and we never look at it as unbiased. It's always biased and politicized, and it's shame for such organization to publish a report without a shred of evidence. They said it's based on interviews. Interviews. What about the document? What about the concrete evidence? Not single
interviews with 4 former prison officials and guards, 3 former Syrian judges, 3 doctors at the prisons. It means nothing.
It's interview. No. When you need to make a report, you need evidence, concrete evidence. You can make any report. You can pay money to anyone, like Qatar did.
Okay. He's. By the way, you don't drink tea? Oh. Cup here. Inside. Well, I have one. You can just. So let's continue. Yeah, but if she going to tell a lie, maybe just some, his speech is a little bit different, but he tell the truth. And also he have a lot of interviews from Western world. So many times he question answers. He just be familiar with it. So this interview is most harsh interview by American reporter. Okay?
Last year, they paid money for such a report, and they wrote their own weaknesses, and then they report.
The process. I want to just read you something from the report. The process of the hangings is authorized by officials at the highest levels of the government. Death sentences are approved by the Grand Mufti of Syria and by either the Minister of Defense or the Chief of Staff of the Army, who are deputized to act on behalf of President Bashar al-Assad.
First of all, what the evidence? So this is first.
Is it true or not?
No, it's not true. Definitely not true.
How do you know? Do you know what goes on in that prison? Have you been there?
No, I haven't been. I've been in the presidential palace, not in the presidential.
So here you have a very disturbing report about something going on in one of your prisons. Are you going to investigate?
So Amnesty International knows more about Syria than me, according to you. No, that's not true. No, they haven't been to Syria. They only base their reports on allegation. They can bring anyone, doesn't matter what's his title. You can forge anything these days. And we're living in a fake news era, as you know. Everybody knows this. So we don't have to depend on this. Second, you have to talk about reality. They said in their report that we made serial executions. Is that correct?
Yes, mass hangings.
First of all, execution is part of the Syrian law. If the Syrian government or institution wants to do it, they can make it legally because it's been there for decades.
Secret trials, no lawyers?
Why do they need it if they can make it legally? They don't need anything secret.
Is that legal in your country?
Yeah, of course it's legal. For decades since the independence, the execution, according to the law, after a trial, is a legal action, like any other court in many countries in this week.
Will you allow international monitors to visit that prison and inspect and investigate these reports?
It depends on the credibility of that organization, not anyone, because they're going to use this visit just to demonize the Syrian government more and more and more, like what's happening.
This is not the first time that very serious human rights allegations have been made. Just last week, a woman in Spain, Syrian, filed a lawsuit accusing 9 of your senior government intelligence and security officials of human rights abuses. Her brother had disappeared in one of your prisons. You asked about documents. The lawyers who have filed this, accusing your government of human rights abuses, have collected 3,000 pages of evidence and over 50,000 photographs taken by one of your former government's photographers showing emaciated, tortured bodies in your prisons.
Verified images. They verified that they're not edited in Photoshop and so on.
Have you seen the photos?
No, I didn't.
Have you seen the photos?
No. I saw some photos in previous reports, but it's not about the photo. How can you verify the photo?
You have said that the...
Do you have the photo?
I do have the photos.
Can you show it to me?
Yes, I will.
FBI. This one.
Okay. This photo, have you verified who are those? You should
tell you...
Because you have it and because you mentioned it in front of your audience.
There's a number of
photos. You have to convince your audience. You cannot mention such a picture without verifying who are those and where and everything about it, just to put it in front of the audience, tell it, or they've been killed by the Syrian soldiers.
The woman who filed the lawsuit, the Syrian woman who filed the lawsuit, says she saw her brother in those photographs.
At the end, these are allegations. We have to talk about concrete evidence. At the end, that's how you can base your judgment. Not anyone can say whatever he wants.
You said that you believe these photos may have been doctored. The U.S. State Department gave these photos to the American FBI digital lab. They examined these photos and said the bodies and scenes depicted, this is 242 of these images, the bodies and scenes depicted exhibit no artifacts or inconsistencies that would indicate they have been manipulated. As a result of the above observations, all of these 242 images appear to depict real people and events.
Who said that?
The FBI. Have you seen their report?
No. When was that?
That was 2015.
Yeah, the question when your institutions were honest about what's happening in Syria.
Not all. 1 year
never.
ago.
For us, never. So we don't have to rely on what they say. If the FBI says something, it's not something. It's not evidence for anyone, especially for us. The most important thing, if you take these photos to any court in your country, could they convict any criminal regarding this? Could they tell you what this crime, who committed? If you don't have this full picture, you cannot make judgment. It's just propaganda. It's just fake news. They want to demonize the Syrian government. In every war, you can have any individual crime. It happens all over the world, anywhere, but it's not a policy.
But let me just, if I hear what you're saying, the FBI is just forwarding, propagating propaganda. Amnesty International is propagating propaganda. Everybody is conspiring against the Syrian government. Why?
Ask them.
You're the one making the allegation.
No, I'm not making an allegation. They supported the terrorists. And you go back to what they said. John Kerry, a few months ago, said, by his voice, that we were watching ISIS advancing, and we expected the Syrian president to make concessions. What does it mean? Obama said it in an interview, in one of his speeches, that the war on Iraq created ISIS. So who supported ISIS? We didn't create it. You created. The United States created all this mess. Who supported the rebels and called them moderate rebels while they became ISIS and al-Nusra in Syria? We didn't. So it's not conspiracy. These are facts. This is reality.
Why she knows everything about kind of information? It's very easy. In Syria, everybody can access internet. So he knows global media and news outlet. So he does know everything. The same level of Trump. Okay, this is a key point.
We didn't give money. We didn't support these terrorists. Your country supported them. UK, France, publicly, and they said armament. We didn't. So you can take that. It's not my allegation. It's your official allegation, including Joe Biden, the vice president of Obama. He said about Saudi Arabia and other countries supporting this excellence.
But the United States...
So if it's allegation, it's their allegation. It's American allegation before it's been Syrian allegation.
The United States and its coalition partners have been bombing ISIS in Iraq and in Syria. It's supporting the Iraqi army in its efforts to liberate Mosul from ISIS. How can you say that the United States is supporting ISIS?
Can you explain to me how could they defeat ISIS in Iraq and ISIS was expanding since the American coalition started attacking Syria? It's been expanding. No,
is it expanding now?
It started shrinking after the Russian intervention, not the American one. How could they use our oil fields and export with thousands of barrel trucks to Turkey without being seen by your drones and by your satellites, while the Russians would be able to do so and attack them and destroy all their facilities? How? Yes, this is cosmetic campaign against ISIS.
Just to be clear, I have shown you the FBI report, I've shown you the photographs, I've shown you the Amnesty International report. Will you cooperate in investigations to determine if these very serious reports are in fact true?
You showed me many things, but you didn't show me a single evidence.
I showed you an FBI
No single evidence that you show me.
It's actually the contrary. Any American institutions for us during the Syrian crisis was against the realities. It was the opposite of the truth. That's how we look at it. So it's not Syrian institution. We don't care about what they say. For me, what I care about is what reports I have from Syrian people. And we had investigations because we have many claims regarding not the mass crimes, actually more individual acts, and we've been investigating many, and many people were punished. But that happened in every war.
Are you disturbed enough about any of this to try to determine the truth yourself?
I think you should show it to the Western officials to ask them that question. Are they disturbed to see what's happening in Syria? They started supporting the terrorists in Syria, this killing and this destruction. That's not the question. Of course I'm disturbed. I'm Syrian. I have this natural...
you are disturbed about this. About these
what's happening in Syria. No, not about the report.
Not about this.
No, I'm disturbed about what's happening in Syria. It's my country. It's being destroyed by proxy terrorists, of course.
You have acknowledged that your troops in this war have committed mistakes in its prosecution against the rebels, and that anyone could be punished. So how many mistakes are we talking about?
No, I didn't say that. I never said. I said there are always mistakes in any action. That's a human life.
How many mistakes are we talking about? How many innocent civilians have been killed by your government's mistakes?
Nobody knows, because thousands and thousands of those are missing people. Nobody knows anything about their fate. No one at all. So you cannot tell till the end of this war.
Was it a mistake to bomb hospitals in Aleppo?
We never bombed hospitals in Aleppo. Why to bomb hospitals? Can you convince your audience that we have interests?
Why we are doing that? Huh?
Actually, this is against our interest. This is against our interest to bomb hospital if it's used as hospital.
Right.
And the proof that it was a lie. Every time they talk about bombing hospital, every time they say this is the last hospital in eastern part of Aleppo. And the second time they talk about another hospital and they say the same. they bombed the last hospital. So it's a lies and lies and lies. We can spend the whole interview talking about lies, and we can talk about the truth and the reality. I have to talk about the reality.
Is it a mistake to use barrel bombs and chlorine gas?
You have to choose which part of the narrative is correct. Once they said we are using indiscriminate bombs, and they called it barrel bombs. The other day they said we targeted hospitals and the schools and convoys. We either have precise armaments or we have indiscriminate armament. So which one do you choose?
Will you do acknowledge, though, that innocent civilians, there have been civilian casualties in this war?
Of course, every war is a bad war.
Okay.
Every war is a bad war. You cannot talk about good war. Let's agree about this. Every war has casualty. Every war has innocent people to pay the price. This is the bad thing about war. That's why we need to end that war. But having casualty doesn't mean not to defend our country against the terrorists and against the invasion from abroad through those proxies by foreign countries like the Western countries and the regional war.
President,
self-evident.
Okay, just finish. She's very good in answer for the American reporter, right? And just last section.
I was asking before about
Last section, she said, like a hospital, school. He said, why Syrian troops need to bomb those people, those buildings here against him? And casualty, many casualty. He said, oh, of course, war caused a lot of casualty. No way. He said, yeah. But his answer is very clear. It's because of two reasons. One is also he's very clever speaker, kind of opinion, and second is he just answered lots of sort of interviews in the past, many interviews. But this is one of those. Kakashi is very clear, right?
Yeah.
So, by the way, I think I need to prepare to discuss with you later, not today. And if you buy microphone and if you try to consider more your light, better light, and I try to discuss about issues for the Syrian Bashar al-Assad or Japanese people opinion from Japan.
Okay.
So this
So
is very...
question, the question is, there's obviously United States had some serious interest in Middle East, where they want to keep some crude oil for their own, but now having the United States is having now their own oil producer position, which is going to be the best one, the biggest one then. But still, since the United States wants to be involved in this region, what is the purpose of still having that into the ground?
Okay, several reasons.
Political influence, or still they want to keep their position in getting the oil?
Yeah, several reasons they have. First of all, American government intention is they don't expect stabilization in Middle East. Okay? They expect unrest in Middle East. If Middle East is going to be get settled led by, for example, Iran, they're going to get power. So America need to consider for global balancing. So that's the reason Middle East must be split. Is for American government must be more comfortable. Second issue is why America involved? No, not oil. No oil. They nothing consider for the oil. Like a Kirkuk? No, they don't thinking about oil. Because recently America has more than oil production than Saudi Arabia now. So they don't worry about that. Not now it's OPEC, or including Saudi Arabia. is gone in past history. They never be catch up in the big power in the world. So America is, I'm thinking about that. So only that they're concerned about Iran power, also, and including Syria. And one more issue is America. I don't know, in the history, America tried to kill the dictators who against America, like Libya, the Gaddafi, and Iraq, Saddam Hussein, and also the one more person. They tried to kill them. Assad is the same category, but unfortunately, Russia and Putin decided to help him. So this is America unwillingly cannot kill him, right? So this is the reason why America stands. And Syria and Iraq will not be settled down next decade, I believe, because Sergeant group still exists, and also Kurd Peshmerga army never be settled down next 10 years. Even if Iraq asked them to discard weapons, but they have 30 million population. Yeah, 30 million around there. So it's not easy to handle. Maybe finally I showed the video a couple of months ago, and the video tells that Kurd will get independent next 5 or 10 years, for sure. So at that time, it means at least in the next 5 years, Syria and Iraq or those Middle East will not going to be settled. It means settled, okay, unstable. This is the situation.
I think it won't be settled unless the U.S. will retreat free from the region. But what exactly the concerns of the United States on the rise of Iran, rise of the Turkey, rise of some the other regional forces. What exactly is the United States concerned with?
Oh, okay. America is simple, and they okay. They know that they cannot make more invasion in Middle East because of Russia, Iran. Okay, so why they decided is they're switching from Middle East to Afghanistan. Not sophisticated. They try to control Afghanistan to get America first, benefit from Afghanistan. And they cannot control, they decide they cannot control Middle East by United States, so they discarded.
Yeah, there might be some resources that they want in Afghanistan, but not in Middle East, not so much.
No, they cannot.
So I think one of the reasons why still the U.S. wanted to occupy by themselves in the region is because then the Putin is coming, and the China is supporting. That will be some potential influence of the United States in the world.
Oh, okay. You mean the American troops in Iraq? So they have
the notion of the world on the U.S. influence is going to be okay. They totally failed to settle the region. Then after that, the Russian is stepping into the Syria to support Assad. And finally, it ends to the stable the situation in the future by the support from Russia.
Okay.
That's not what the United States don't want to hear.
Okay, and American situation from now on, still they need to concern for the support for Kurd and support for the insurgent, militant people against Assad. Still, they should not discard to penetrate into the Middle East for supporting those military groups. But my opinion is, okay, this is almost just useless. But they spend lots of money, but no result, no success, I believe. And the majority power must be shifting to Afghanistan. Not the insurgent group, or not Kurd. Kurd is anyway, next 5 or 10 years, they're going to be independent anyway. Insurgent never win against Russia, right? America knows that.
So maybe the Kurdish will be the next target of the United States.
Next what?
The Kurdish will.
Oh yeah.
And there will be another target of the United States.
But Kurd is a different position, and Turkey beat them, and U.S.-Turkey relationship is currently terrible. So, but you know, America don't much more focus on Kurd. America shifting to Asia Pacific or Middle East Asia, Southeast Asia. He focus on Afghanistan, right? And more than that, Trump is much more concerned about North Korea, right? Recently, he cannot split for the watching for many places. Also, they decided, okay, we are not oversee the world, rest of the world. They're going to focus on their own American interests, right? They try to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia. They try to dealing with Afghanistan, try to get money. Afghanistan, actually, American try to get money. Not more than that. How come they are sending troops? Get money from there. That's only for America, national interest, right? Not more than that. Peace? No, they don't think about nothing about peace. Okay, so now is moving to the next one. Now, Putin. Okay, we don't protect Assad. We protect Syria from becoming Libya. Okay. The 21st St. Petersburg International Economic Forum has been Russia's foremost gathering of business and government leaders and world experts representing science, media, and society. This one is, I forget the name of that. St. Petersburg International Economic Forum means, Baltic Club. This is Baltic Club, okay? And you can see that Trump, but this is not here. He supposed to be next video. Okay, this is different. Okay.シリアを支援しているのはシリアがリビアとかソマリアとかアフガニスタンみたいなあのようにするために。これ、プーチンが言ってるのね。アサドの化学兵器を使ったと批判しているが、その証拠はない。サリンを使ったのはアサドではない。OK? Resilient. しょっちゅう出ますね、これ。Infection. これは出ますね。substantively. Far-fetched. これもしょっちゅう出ますね。far-fetched. purport. これも出ますね。purport. これは出ないね。entropy. これは出ません。ramification. これも出ます。これも短いビデオですね。で、これはね、トランプは次のビデオですね。これ入っちゃったけど。こう、 次ですね。これどうしよう。まあいいや、バススペースないからね。OK。じゃあ、ちょっと待ってください。高橋もちょっとどいていただいて。次は、これですかね。ロシア。ああ、そうですね。ロシア、今。OK, 10 minutes. This is interesting video. Right side is might be Putin. Yeah, Putin.
What? Believe in what? That Assad is an evil man? An evil guy? You've got to ask the other leaders who have communicated with Assad. He was more often in Europe after being elected than in Russia. It is not President Assad whom we are protecting there. We are protecting the Syrian statehood. We don't want there in Syria to be a situation similar to that in Libya or in Somalia or in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan NATO has been present for many years, but the situation is not changing for the better. We want to preserve the Syrian statehood. And on the basis of resolving this fundamental issue, we would like them to move towards settling the Syrian issue through political means. Yes, probably everyone is there to blame for something, but let's not forget that...
Oh, by the way, he speaking out at the Baldai Club, or very similar type of Baldai Club, and only speaking out for the East European people or Central Asian people. Much more focused on Russian neighbors countries, not Westerners. Some Westerners involved in this conference, but he's speaking to his supporting group people. Usually those videos will not going to be distributed to Westerners, but this is his true opinion.
That were it not for inactive interference from outside, the civil war probably would not have broken out. What is President Assad being accused of recently? We know he's accused about using chemical weapons, but there's no evidence to support that whatsoever. Right after the incident, we suggested that an inspection should be carried out at the airbase from which allegedly the aircraft of President Assad had taken off carrying chemical weapons. If chemical weapons had been used, then those weapons would have been loaded onto the aircraft and the cutting-edge analyzing equipment would have detected that. But they refused to conduct this kind of inspection. So they're talking a lot, but not doing much. We suggested that an inspection should be carried out at the place where the strike took place. They're saying it's too dangerous. Why is it dangerous if the strike was against the good part of the opposition? No, they say it's too dangerous. There is a representative of Iraq here, whom we welcome. And Iraqi Kyrgyzstan, the militants used chemical weapons, and the world community recognized it. So they know that the militants there have got chemical weapons. But according to the OPCW, Syria has destroyed its stocks of chemical weapons. You see, if pretexts are created without any real willingness to look into the matter, it's not going to lead us anywhere. Let's talk substantively. Did Assad make mistakes? Yes, probably a lot of them. But those who oppose him, are they angels? Who is murdering people and executing children, beheading people? Should we support those people who do that? You know, that together with our American counterparts, we had discussions ad infinitum about different territories where we should perform strikes or we shouldn't. They were telling us that there were territories where we shouldn't perform strikes because the opposition, the good opposition was mixed with the Al-Nusra Front. Well, in that case, they've got to separate the bad guys from the good guys of the opposition. Should we wait for these terrorists to come to our country? No, we're not going to wait for that. Let's find an agreement. Prime Minister is nodding an agreement. India is always facing the threat of terrorism. This is not just a
Oh, Modi, left side, okay? Modi. India, yeah, that's he said India.
far-fetched problem. 4,000 people from the Russian Federation, according to our estimates, are in Syria, and around 4,500 from the CIS countries. And this is a real threat we are facing, because some of them try to get back, and some of them do get back. We launched our operation in Syria because we knew what all of this would result in. You shouldn't try labeling people. We've got to work together substantively, and we're willing to engage in this work, but we need a constructive approach on your side.
So, we know that Assad has used chemical weapons before, and Russia entered into an agreement in 2013 to stop that. I mean, Russia acknowledged that in 2013 when it acknowledged to try to stop that by Assad. The only question is whether he launched the chemical weapons attack that happened a couple of months ago. And I just want to press you a little further on this, because we all saw the video of the suffering, dying children, and that was the reason that President Trump dropped the bomb.
Oh, she's western side of the reporter.
Do you deny? Because Assad denies that those tapes are real. He's purporting to tell us not to believe our lying eyes. Do you believe those tapes are fake?
First, when President Obama and I agreed to work together to destroy chemical weapons in Syria, we assumed that Syria had it, but we never recognized that Assad had used it. So please be more precise. Secondly, as for those people who were killed or who suffered because of the use of weapons, including chemical weapons, this is false information. As of now, we are absolutely confident that this is just a provocation. President Assad didn't use chemical weapons. All of this was orchestrated in order to stage him, to accuse him. Moreover, our intelligence services have got information that in other districts of Syria, not far from Damascus, there were plans to reproduce this scenario, and we made these plans publicly. Those who had been planning this action thought it better not to engage in these actions.
If I could just follow up on that, though, because the bodies of the victims were autopsied at Turkey's Andara Forensic Medicine Institution. The autopsies were witnessed by officials from the World Health Organization and from the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and they concluded that the victims were attacked with sarin gas. Are we really to believe that the whole thing was staged, that everybody was in on it? The World Health Organization, the Forensic Medicine Institution, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons?
The answer is very simple, and you know it. Yes, sarin could have been used by someone, but not by Assad. It could have been used by someone in order to accuse President Assad. So we have to understand who is to blame, and otherwise, if there is no true investigation, it's only going to play into the hands of those who orchestrated it. I'd like to ask you a question. Why didn't everyone go right away to inspect the air base to the spot where chemical weapons allegedly had been used? Why didn't they want to go to see the aircraft that had been allegedly used to perform this strike? The answer is very simple, because they were afraid that everything, the truth, would come to light. What you are telling me doesn't convince me of anything. it just persuades me that we'd better not engage in tag of war there or speculate. We've got to pull our efforts together to counter real threats. And we know what these real threats are. The US is very far. Yes, there was an explosion there, people suffered, which we offer our condolences. But we also know what terrorists is all about. We have seen its manifestations. And no one should try to use terrorists to address short-term political interests, even there are attempts at that. Yes, there are attempts at using terrorists against, say, Assad. Why use them? Because no one else would fight. I do not think it's worthwhile using these terrorists today, because tomorrow it's gonna cost you a lot. When Al-Qaeda was created in Afghanistan to fight against the Soviet Union, they didn't know that it would strike the US on 9/11. We've got to think about negative ramifications in the long term.
Okay. This is not Balder Club, but very similar kind of conference. But she is came from Western side, and she criticized Assad and asking questions from Putin. Okay. Then next is very short video. It's Trump. At UN, President Donald Trump blasts rogue regimes of North Korea, Iran, and Syria. What President Trump condemned nations representing the scourge of our planet today, including North Korea, Iran, Syria, and Venezuela. Scourge. Okay, Trump said that Syria is using chemical weapons. Scourge. Conscience. Decent. This is a 2 minutes 30 seconds. Or 2 minutes.
Group of rogue regimes that violate every principle on which the United Nations is based. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself. The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. The Iran deal was one of the worst and most one-sided transactions the United States has ever entered into. Frankly, that deal is an embarrassment to the United States. The actions of the criminal regime of Bashar al-Assad, including the use of chemical weapons against his own citizens, even innocent children, shock the conscience of every decent person. No society can be safe if banned chemical weapons are allowed to spread. The Venezuelan people are starving, and their country is collapsing. Their democratic institutions are being destroyed. This situation is completely unacceptable, and we cannot stand by and watch. Now we are calling for a great reawakening of nations. We must work together and confront together those who threaten us with chaos, turmoil, and terror.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
Where is it?
Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the...
Okay, just short video. That's the Trump. Okay, next is real Syria story. No one wants you to know about. Okay, this is 1 year ago. On this episode of the Geopolitical Report, we counter the establishment's narrative on the conflict in Syria and the flashpoint of Dara. Dara is some capital. Dara, some capital. Oh, Jordan. Town near the Syria-Jordan border, where the CIA working with Muslim Brotherhood attacked police and set the stage for conflict that has so far claimed the lives of more than 400,000 Syrians. This proxy war is designed to take down a secular government and replace it with a Salafist principality controlled by Brotherhood, long-time CIA and British intelligence asset. で、このビデオはですね、これは、ちょっと待ってくださいね。このビデオ。これいつかな？ちょっと待って。2016年で1年前ですね。2011年3月にデモは公安警察に殺された150人以上の市民を追悼して行われた。アサドの組織が殺したということになっているが、そうではない。このような殺害はアサド政権ではなく、CIA のオペレーショングラディオ。オペレーショングラディオって大橋が出して、いっぱい調べて、CIA の、陰謀策略のことをオペレーショングラディオ。1940年代にも CIA はシリアの政府を崩壊させている。それはその政府がオイルパイプラインの建設を拒否したからだ。1967年にその事実が明らかになった。1957年にも CIA と MG-M16、イギリスですね、これね。MI6 は別のクーデターを計画した。1953年のイランのクーデターもそうだ。で、1955年以来 CIA はムスリム同胞団を支援してきた。ムスリム同胞団ってこれはですよね、1980年にハマーの虐殺があった。これ前のアサドのお父さんですね。虐殺されたのはイスラム同胞団だった。それは、ハーフィズ・アル・アサド、この親父ね、支持であった。この同胞団は自由シリア軍として30年ぶりにシリアに戻ってきた。そうでしょこの辺のところは僕もわかんないんだよね。複雑で。この軍隊はスンニ派のワハブ派であった。だからシリアは、シア派なんですよね。で、アサドだけがスンニ派のワハブなんですね。ワハブじゃん。アサドは違う。アサドはね。アサドシア派でね。アラワイトです。ごめんなさい。アラワイト。で、シリアの大衆がスンニ派なんですね。で、この自由シリア軍がスンニ派のワハブ。ワハブっていうのは、サウジアラビアがワハブなんですね。アイシルもワハブですね。首切ったりする。アルカイダとかね。で、自由シリア軍はアルカイダと組んでアサドを退陣させようとした。2012年であった。これがアイシスの。この組織を始めとるは、トルコとアラブ諸国が、サウジアラビアがね、支援した。これに対してシリアに対しての対策は、1990年代のアメリカのネオコンの策略であったっていうのが、このビデオの、オペレーショングラディオっていうのは、冷戦期にアメリカ主力と、ネイトが、操っていた陰謀活動のことをオペレーショングラディオ。だから、前やったトルコの、クーデターね、一昨年やった。エルダの。あれもオペレーショングラディオだって言うんですよ。それからですね、1982年のハマー。ハマーがどこにあるかっていうと、アレッポでしょ？イドリブ、ラカティア、ホムス、 バルミーラ、レバノン。これ、シリアの首都はどこだ？出てないの？こっちの方かな。で、1982年2月にハーフィーズ・アル・アサド大統領の命令によってシリア軍がハマーの町で実行した衝動作戦。このアサド政権の下で放棄したムスリム同胞団の鎮圧を目的と作戦を指揮したのは、アサド大統領の弟であるリファト・アル・アサドだとされている。指導者層が大統領を含め、アラブ派出身の人間に偏っていたアサド政権に対して、ムスリム同胞団をはじめスンニ派イスラム主義集団が行った1986年に始まる組織的運動は、82年のハマーの虐殺による事実上終わった。これ、ちょっと、単語、define。これ使いますね。ダルアって書いてある、ダラーラですよね。ダラーラですよね。これなんかどっかの街ですよね、ダラーラ。首都ですよね。どこだ？忘れちゃった。どっかの首都ですよね、これ。あれ？出てこない。これ？出てこないんだ。これね。この僕の辞書が、出てきた。これはなんだ。これどこだろう？シリアか。本当だ。シリア。ね。シリアでしょ？シリア。これシリアのマークでしょ？シリア。これは、でもこのマークはシリア。ダラー、シリア。Okay, and next is, draped. Drape って厚いカーテンのことを言うんですよね。これはドレープですよね。ディスグラットル。知らないね、この単語は。ディスグラットル。ラトリン。これはなんか使うよね。ラトラインだ。段作シュラウドの間に水平を渡したロープで、縄ばしごの働きをする。なんとこなっちゃったわ。ラトライン。ハブリス。これも使わないね。ハブリス。これよく出ます。コーバート。コバートかな？どっちか。コーバート。コーバートですね。これもよく出ます。グリーバンス。これよく出ます。フリーシリアアーミー FSA ね。スタウンチ。これも出ますね。フリテクス。これしょっちゅう出ます。サラフィス。これはなんか、会社のこと言うんですよね。会社スニ派のイスラム会社サラフィスね。ディポーズ。退陣させるディポーズ。で、これで、シリア最後のビデオです。シリア最後。ここね、ダーティーウォーオンシリアってあるけども、ちょっと、説明、これがね、原子がもうどっか消えちゃってるんですけど、ちょっとこれ省略しますね。これです。これ16分もあるんだ。Oh my god. これはですね、this video is a different type of video. This is a conspiracy video. Okay? Geopolitical means conspiracy. This is normal opinion. This is not normal opinion. And he is talking about history of, this is the news bad is, Ohashi like this organization. How come he doesn't come here yet? He's supposed to come today. Why he doesn't come here today? Why he doesn't come here today? I think I tried to give him just try to check. I don't know Ohashi's telephone. Do you know Ohashi's telephone number? Just Ohashi. 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 Yeah, I got it. I just called him. No answer. Maybe he doesn't come today. Usually he's just going to tell me. Oh, he told me. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to start this video.
Our reporter, Zaina Hodder, defied a...
Okay, just watch this map. Syria, okay?
media ban to enter Daraa and sent us...
Daraa. Also Damascus.
This story.
This is a city draped in black, and the city raging with anger. For the past week, Daraa has been burying their dead. Demonstrators killed while clashing with security forces. Dozens are believed to have died. People here say at least 150, far higher than the figure of 37 provided by the state.
Media tells us the civil war in Syria began after Bashar al-Assad's troops killed Arab Spring protesters in Daraa and other cities. The truth, however, is something different. In fact, it's the exact opposite of what the official narrative would have us believe. The conflict that has so far cost more than 400,000 Syrian lives began in Daraa, a town near the border with Jordan. According to the media, the revolt began in March 2011 after teenagers were arrested for anti-Assad graffiti. Daraa citizens were outraged and poured into the streets to protest, and this was met with a violent response by the government. A Daraa journalist, quoted by CNN, said the protests were the flame of a revolution that would spread across the country. Syrians took inspiration from the so-called Arab Spring revolts in Egypt and Tunisia. According to Syrian journalist Stephen Sahouni, the uprising was staged by foreigners. Jihadi mercenaries supported by the United States and NATO and Libya were in Daraa well before the protests. In addition to Libyans, members of the Muslim Brotherhood worked out of the Omari Mosque in Daraa. The plan they prepared was engineered by the CIA just over the border in Jordan. Weapons were stockpiled at a mosque well before the demonstrations. Muslim Brotherhood provocateurs attacked Syrian security forces during the demonstrations in Daraa, Aleppo, Damascus, and other cities.
So there was violence right at the beginning.
Yes. And the Syrian security forces had orders from the Syrian president that do not use it, and they had only sticks in their hand, and tens of Syrian police, Syrian security forces were knifed, stabbed, and beaten either by knives or rocks or sticks, and some of them have died, martyred.
At the very beginning, when we were talking, the crowds would come out on a Friday after the noon prayer. This was like the habit. And so they would come out and they'd start, we want freedom, we want democracy, we want blah, blah, blah. Okay, then the police, of course, would be there around in anticipation. And at the beginning, the police did have weapons. But if you fire on a policeman or a soldier, his training will be to fire back. That's his training. Okay, so that's what they did. they fired on the security forces, whether they be city policemen or army. They fired on them knowing that they're going to get a reply. And as many dead, innocent civilians protesting in the street, this is furthering their cause.
Right.
This is what they want. So this happened. Then the president came out with an order nationwide saying the security forces can still go and watch the protests, but they cannot carry a weapon. And this caused many, many deaths because they followed the orders, but the people were, the protesters slaughtered the policemen.
In reality, the uprising in Dara in March 2011 was not fueled by graffiti written by teenagers, and there were no disgruntled parents demanding their children be freed. It was part of a Hollywood-style script written by skilled CIA agents who were given a mission to destroy Syria for the purpose of regime change. The violence in Dara escalated when rooftop snipers killed demonstrators, police, and soldiers.
Oh, remember, 2011, just Arab Spring, the year of the Arab Spring, right? And this video telling about the conspiracy video. At that time, only Syria is well planned by CIA. Very well trained demonstrators involved in this protest. So this is, I remember, this is talking about that. And that's the reason they have weaponry and they were well trained. So this is the start of this Syrian civil war.
Observers blamed the deaths on Assad, but there is evidence the snipers were part of an effort to push the opposition's narrative of a brutal government that must be overthrown. The tactic was also used in Ukraine during the State Department's engineered coup. Similar tactics were used in Romania, Bosnia, Thailand, Egypt, Libya, and as part of the CIA's and NATO's Operation Gladio and its strategy of tension in Europe.
Just Gladio, I just explained US and NATO organization. So those snipers shooting people. So this is Gladio, they said.
According to Sihoni's research,
not Assad, government, military. This is Gladio. They are shooting citizens, he said.
Weapons smuggled into Syria came from the CIA, stationed in Jordan, where the U.S. has a...
Right, Takahashi, Ohashi like it, right? But see, I don't know how come he didn't come here today. But okay, well, anyway, this is Ohashi's video.
Good relationship with trusted client King Abdullah. After the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, the CIA sent weapons seized in the country to Syria. Details on weapons transfers came out during the Benghazi hearings. The investigative journalist Seymour Hersh reported on the CIA's rat line to get weapons into Syria.
Very early in 2012, when I don't know why, but maybe because of the hubris over what the victory we thought we had in Libya, ousting Gaddafi, which is a mess of its own, we set up a very secret operation inside Libya to funnel arms through Turkey into the Syrian opposition, including all sides, those who were secular, those who had legitimate grievances against the Assad government, and the other groups sponsored by the Saudis and the Qataris, who are really trying to create a Wahhabi or Salafist government in Syria, take it over. And this was a very secret operation that went for a long time. It only ended when the consulate in Benghazi was overrun. And it was done without, as I write, without telling Congress.
The CIA also worked with the newly formed Free Syrian Army in Aleppo. The FSA invited foreign jihadists to join the fight against Assad. They streamed in from Turkey, where they had arrived from Afghanistan, Europe, Australia, and North Africa with Turkish and Saudi assistance. Senator John McCain, a staunch neocon, took up the cause of the FSA in Congress and went so far as to enter Syria without a passport.
America's leading advocate of intervention in the Syrian crisis, spent about an hour in the country, having crossed over the Turkish border. He met with leaders, senior officials of the Free Syrian Army, and they talked about matters that have been close to John McCain's.
Ohashi, this is a video for you.
For me? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to start from the first because otherwise, this is Operation Gladio.
Operation Gladio. Okay, good.
And I'm going to from the start for you. This I prepared for you.
Thank you.
And just see. Have a look.
Okay.
Have a look.
Huh? The geopolitical report.
No, newsbar.
Newsbar. Nice. Very nice.
So this is for you. I just called the handy phone.
It's
you didn't answer for me,
it's free. Not free. Well, it's independent news group.
Yeah, she's very familiar with this.
Yes.
Before President one, and I think you know the. No, this is conspiracy group.
Well,
conspiracy group.
Who makes?
The whistleblower.
And you can explain for the Turkey story, news bird, first before I'm going to start.
So this lady who used to work for FBI, and she started to become anti-FBI, and she was kind of politically or legally she was being abused or kind of being attacked by US, and she speaks many Middle Eastern language. So that's why she was an important person back in the day. But she understands how things work, but she doesn't agree with how things work. So and because she signed all these non-disclosure agreement, NDA, so she can't say a whole lot about the past. For sure, she can keep, watching the news and predict and make some comments and report the news. And and also because she can read Middle Eastern language, she can read Turkish newspapers or Iraq newspapers and see what's going on. And so then they start to make this group all around the world and tell everyone to please give us your side information, and we'll broadcast if it makes sense, or even be part of the video or whatever. So and this lady Sibel Simmons, and what's his name? Sibel and James.
This is very interesting conspiracy video.
Okay.
For Syria.
For Syria? Thank you.
So I waited for you, because you didn't come. I was worried about what happened for you.
So that means George Soros. George Soros is involved. All his NPO, non-profit organizations.
You're talking about Turkey?
Well, no, Syrian-Turkey border, and then all the Kurds that are supposedly, illegally trafficking in to Syria from Turkey's side, right? Supported by George Soros-backed up organizations.
Yeah.
Right?
They spend every year $3.5 million US for the refugees. Right?
I don't remember about the amount of the money, but meanwhile, I'm going to take some of this.
これ美味しい、このね、一番高いの買った。
これいつものさんと美味しくてね、このピスタチオが楽しみなんです。
なんかあれ美味しいよ、これ。
それと、先週も参加できなかったんで。
先週も来なかった。
はい。なので、今日中華が3週間ぶりなので楽しみです。
今日中華はい。あれね。
今日お休みじゃないですよね、あそこ。
うん。お前今週土曜日来んだよね。来ないの？
土曜日欠席です。すいません。
出版記念パーティー。
もともとその日ちょっと予定が入ってて。
君は来ないってさ、やっぱり、あといつも常連メンバー。あなたと孫くんで、イベントやる。
すみません。とちくらさんは？とちくらさんから連絡したんですか？
とちくらさん、大橋の3人からさ、イベントやるって。そう、出版記念来ないのあなた。
すみません。あ
と、笹部が来るかね。
笹部くん？いいですね。いいですね。
あれ？これ美味しいの。これね、一番高いの買ってる。これね。
すごいですね、こんな大量。
いや、すごい高いの。
うまいですね。
おーちゃん、これを食べに来てる。
バレましたか？
高橋作家に参加してるけど。
今日高橋さん参加してるんですか？
珍しい。
今まで高橋さんじゃないですね。
高橋はね、今日マイク買いに行くんだよ。マイク。
日本にいるの？
おうちに。それで彼はね、4月から放映のね、番組の、彼は、僕のさ、コースピーカー。で、あなたもコースピーカー。で、あなたのは、今考えてたトルコのね、オペレーショングラディオの話を。What do you think about Operation Gladio? Mr. Ohashi, can you have any opinion? Say something. So in discussion we're going to start. But this one, geopolitical report is another one.
中東は、トルコ人の友達もいるんで。実際にブロードキャストになると、
マスクしてさ、サングラスかけて。
マスクサングラスなら、
で、あなたの名前は大橋じゃなくてさ、Hello, good afternoon, ダーチャオ。
僕もちょっと、アクセント変えないと。
あれお前どこダメなの？トルコダメなの？
なんというか、実際に、多分、政治家になった人が知人にいるんで。
じゃあトルコはダメなの？
ダメというか、まあ、ネット上の。
オペレーショングラディオはダメなの？
オペレーショングラディオ、イタリアの話だったらまだいいですよ。
イタリアじゃない、オペレーショングラディオって。
いや、オペレーショングラディオってもうそもそもイタリアですよ。
だけど実際やったのはアメリカとネートの
が、1970年代にイタリアやったんじゃないですか。で、イタリアの首相がそれを認めたから、公式に歴史に残したわけですよね。
それではね、OK. Let's going to start. Ohashi came, so we're going to start from the first, going back to the front of this video.
Thank you.
I think this is very good for have a look.
Our reporter, Zaina Hodder, defied a media ban to enter Daraa and sent us this story.
This is a city draped in black, and the city raging with anger. For the past week, Daraa has been burying their dead. Demonstrators killed while clashing with security forces. Dozens are believed to have died. People here say at least 150.
Okay, just she's explaining for 2011 is a demonstration. And this is planned by CIA, especially for their weaponry and snipers and shoot somebody. This is the start of a Syria's civil war.
So,
this one.
When was this video uploaded?
2011.
2011.
This is 2011.
Okay.
Just start for the demonstration of Arab Spring.
Higher than the figure of 37 provided by the state.
The corporate media tells us the civil war in Syria began after Bashar al-Assad's troops killed Arab Spring protesters in Daraa and other cities. The truth, however, is something different. In fact, it's the exact opposite of what the official narrative would have us believe. The conflict that has so far cost more than 400,000 Syrian lives began in Dara, a town near the border with Jordan. According to the media, the revolt began in March 2011 after teenagers were arrested for anti-Assad graffiti. Dara citizens were outraged and poured into the streets to protest, and this was met with a violent response by the government. A Dara journalist quoted by CNN said the protests were the flame of a revolution that would spread across the country. Syrians took inspiration from the so-called Arab Spring revolts in Egypt and Tunisia. According to Syrian journalist Stephen Sahouni, the uprising was staged by foreigners. Jihadi mercenaries supported by the United States and NATO and Libya were in Dara well before the protests. In addition to Libyans, members of the Muslim Brotherhood worked out of the Omari Mosque in Dara. The plan they prepared was engineered by the CIA just over the border in Jordan. Weapons were stockpiled at a mosque well before the demonstrations. Muslim Brotherhood provocateurs attacked Syrian security forces during the demonstrations in Dara, Aleppo, Damascus, and other cities.
So there was violence right at the beginning.
Yes. And the Syrian security forces had orders from the Syrian president that to not use a gun. They had only sticks in their hand only. And tens of Syrian police, Syrian security forces were knifed, stabbed, and beaten by either by knives or rocks or sticks. And some of them have died.
Akika. What was Akika? What was Akika?
What?
Can you rewind like? Okay, thank you. Good. Could you?
No, 10 is 10 of Syrian police. 10.
Syrian security forces were knifed.
Syrian police is Akita force.
Oh, this is Akita force. I don't know Akita force.
Okay.
It's something like local police.
Stabbed and beaten by either by knives or rocks or sticks, and some of them have died.
Recently, I don't care about some special word, you know. YouTube is many strange words coming in video, right? So you're going to care of those keywords. You cannot proceed on.
Right, endless.
Latake City.
This was like the habit. And so they would come out and they'd start, we want freedom, we want democracy, we want blah, blah, blah. Okay, then the police, of course, would be there around in anticipation. And at the beginning, the police did have weapons. But if you fire on a policeman or a soldier, his training will be to fire back. That's his training. Okay, so that's what they did. They fired on the security forces, whether they be city policemen or army. They fired on them knowing that they're going to get a reply. And as many dead, innocent civilians protesting in the street, this is furthering their cause. Right. This is what they want.
Just watch it, right?
This is what who want.
Yeah, just she's going to explain that.
This is furthering their cause. Right. This is what they want. So this happened. Then the president came out with an order nationwide saying the security forces can still go and watch the protests.
Right? What's the protest? Not government. Shooting the civilian.
But they cannot carry a weapon.
Right?
And this caused many, many deaths because they followed the
many deaths, right?
The orders, but the people were.
So they did. This is this is follow, right? The orders, but they were.
No, Assad military didn't shoot them.
Didn't shoot.
No, just listen.
The protesters slaughtered the.
Slaughtered?
Policemen.
In reality, the uprising in Dara in March 2011 was not fueled by graffiti written by teenagers. and there were no disgruntled parents demanding their children be freed. It was part of a Hollywood-style script written by skilled CIA agents who were given a mission to destroy Syria for the purpose of regime change. The violence in Dara escalated when rooftop snipers killed demonstrators.
Rooftop sniper. Rooftop snipers. Who are they?
CIA.
Raiders, police, and soldiers.
This is the start of a civil war in Syria, 2011. This is completely different compared with the other country, Arab Spring. Only Syria, the snipers kill lots of civilians. That's the start of a civil war. The other country, they don't start civil war, right? Only the protest, demonstration, and so forth. But on Syria, they just like this. America's intention, get into turmoil.
So,
new buzz.
News buzz.
News buzz, huh?
Blamed the deaths on Assad, but there is evidence the snipers were part of an effort to push the opposition's narrative of a brutal government that must be overthrown. The tactic was also used in Ukraine during the State Department's engineered coup. Similar tactics were used in Romania, Bosnia, Thailand, Egypt, Libya, and as part of the CIA's and NATO's Operation Gladio and its strategy of tension in Europe.
Here we go.
According to Sihoni's research, weapons smuggled into Syria came from the CIA, stationed in Jordan, where the U.S. has a good relationship with trusted client King Abdullah. After the fall of Gaddafi in Libya, the CIA sent weapons seized in the country to Syria. Details on weapons transfers came out during the Benghazi hearings. The investigative journalist Seymour Hersh reported on the CIA's rat line to get weapons into Syria.
Very early in 2012, when I don't know why, but maybe because of the hubris of what the victory we thought we had in Libya, ousting Gaddafi, which is a mess of its own, we set up a covert, a very secret operation inside Libya to funnel arms through Turkey into the Syrian opposition, including all sides, those who were secular, those who had legitimate grievances against the Assad government, and the other groups sponsored by the Saudis and the Qataris, who are really trying to create a Wahhabi or Salafist government in Syria, take it over. And this was a very secret operation. It went for a long time. It only ended when the consulate in Benghazi was overrun. And it was done without, as I write, without telling Congress.
The CIA also worked with the newly formed Free Syrian Army in Aleppo. The FSA invited foreign jihadists to join the fight against Assad. They streamed in from Turkey, where
FSA, Free Syrian Army, okay?
They had arrived from Afghanistan, Europe, Australia, and North Africa with Turkish and Saudi assistance. Senator John McCain, a staunch neocon, took up the cause of the FSA in Congress and went so far as to enter Syria without a passport.
America's leading advocate of intervention in the Syrian crisis spent about an hour in the country, having crossed over the Turkish border. He met with leaders, senior officials of the Free Syrian Army, and they talked about matters that have been close to John McCain's heart these last few months or so, namely arming of the Syrian rebels, airstrikes, the possibility of those, and the creation of a no-fly zone.
Yeah, Free Syrian Army is militant against Assad.
When you say Free City?
Free Syrian Army.
Free Syria.
Free Syrian Army is a militant group against Assad.
Okay.
And supported by the United States. So that's the reason why he met with those people. But those people might be very close to Al-Qaeda. Right? Al-Qaeda and also some sort of close to ISIL. So nobody knows to distinguish which who are who. So this is a problem is currently, even though the ISIL disappeared, but military insurgent exists against Assad. And all the other side, the Kurd and the insurgent group. existed against Assad. Right?
By 2012, the CIA was operating out of Turkey, providing weapons and sending fighters over the border.
Okay, so this is very sophisticated. CIA give the weapon to ISIL before, and later they give to some people for the Free Syria Army, and also give weapon to the Kurd. And Turkey tried to eliminate Kurd, and the Turkey-United States relationships getting worse, and so okay, let's go.
Border into Syria. It provided satellite imagery and other detailed intelligence on Syrian troop locations and movements. The agency also set up an intelligence service for the Free Syrian Army. In the late 1940s, the CIA began covert operations in Syria after Syrians rejected an oil pipeline in their country. The United States also had issues with anti-Western sentiment and a large communist party. CIA operatives met with military leaders in Damascus and plotted to overthrow a 3-year-old democratically elected civilian government. It backed the Nationalist Party during the election in 1947. 2 years later, the CIA sponsored a military coup. During a BBC interview in 1967, CIA agent Miles Copeland admitted as much.
The State Department practically asked not to be informed in this case. We did inform the State Department, and when you read the book, you know this case where simply it was headed to us that we had best shut up about what was happening in the country, and if Husni Zaim, the case in point, you are talking about
the Syrian case.
Yes.
We overthrew the Syrian
If
government.
Husni Zaim wanted to have a coup, and if his intention was to get rid of the corrupt government and establish a democratic government, we should...
By the way, after World War II, Syria was a communist country.
I'm not sure.
Then CIA involved, and just they made a coup and turned to the democratic country.
So it was communist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should leave him alone and stay out of it.
And that was the State Department policy, but in fact, you very largely organized, directed, only you personally, but you're among the team who did it, organized and directed this coup.
Exactly.
In 1957, the CIA and MI6 planned another coup in Syria and the assassination of 3 top Syrian leaders. Documents revealed in 2003 spell out the details of the plan, including an invasion in response to manufactured border incidents and internal disruptions inside the country, including agitating the Shia Druze minority. Frontier incidents and border clashes would be staged to provide a pretext for Iraq and Jordanian military intervention. According to the CIA and MI6, Syria had to be made to appear as the sponsor of plots, sabotage, and violence directed against neighboring governments. In the United States, the effort was led by Kermit Roosevelt, the grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt led the coup that overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran in 1953. The plot was abandoned, however, when Jordan, Iraq, and Turkey refused to cooperate. The following year, the Baathists took power and embraced the pan-Arab nationalism of General Nasser in Egypt. In 2011, it was revealed that the State Department financed Syrian political opposition groups and related projects, including a satellite TV channel that sent anti-government programming into the country. Barada TV began broadcasting in 2009. It is closely affiliated with the Movement for Justice and Development, a London-based network of Syrian exiles associated with the Muslim Brotherhood. The link was mentioned in a diplomatic cable sent from the U.S. Embassy in Damascus in July 2009.
Okay, yes. Secretly backed Syrian opposition groups, enably released by WikiLeaks.
Reuters reported the Salafist leadership attempting to overthrow Assad is...
Salafist is actually the brotherhood. Salafist is brotherhood. This is militant. Extreme militant. Extremist militant is Salafist. Like Al-Qaeda or ISIL. Totally not they call Salafist.
is comprised primarily of Muslim Brotherhood operatives. The command structure was established by the U.S., Britain, France, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey. The Syrian National Council, originally the face of the Western-backed opposition, was dominated behind the scenes by the Brotherhood. In 2012, the CIA used the organization to smuggle weapons into Syria over the southern border of Turkey. According to Miles Copeland, the CIA began cooperating with the Muslim Brotherhood in 1955. Saeed Ramadan, the son-in-law of the founder of the Brotherhood, was a longtime CIA and British intelligence asset, according to the Swiss. That same year, British intelligence used the Brotherhood to agitate against the government in Syria after it announced a desire to merge with Egypt.
The flags of Egypt and Syria fly side by side in Cairo as the two Arab nations merge. Presidents al-Kawatli of Syria and Nasser of Egypt lead in the political joining of the two states that are separated geographically by Israel.
The Muslim Brotherhood became an important asset after Nasser announced the Egyptian takeover of the Suez and talked about a collective Arab security pact within the framework of
Nasser is Brotherhood?
The Arab League.
I don't think...
After the Ba'athist coup in 1963, the Brotherhood recruited Sunni Islamists to confront the government. The Islamists killed Syrian civilians, off-duty security
Islamists killed the Syrian civilians,
personnel, and security forces. The violence reached a climax in 1982 when Hafez al-Assad besieged
Hafez al-Assad
the town of Hama for 27 days in order to put down an uprising by the
Hamas. The father killed Muslim Brotherhood people.
Muslim Brotherhood. Between 10 and 40,000 Syrian citizens were killed and the city destroyed. After 30 years of exile, the Muslim Brotherhood was back in business in Syria during the Arab Spring.
إلى سوريا الإخوانية، إلى غزة، إلى مصر، إلى ليبيا، إلى تونس، إلى المغرب، وهنالك صراع على
English is screen. You can see the screen.
In order to complete a Muslim Brotherhood empire. Okay, so Muslim Brotherhood.
Why? Who is he?
I don't know who.
سوريا أيضا من أجل أن تكتمل الإمبراطورية.
Someone Muslim Brotherhood. From Muslim Brotherhood.
No, he says kill Muslim Brotherhood, right?
No. There is a battle in Syria in order to complete the Muslim Brotherhood.
Complete, okay.
So he's وهنالك أيضا فرع لهم في العراق. الآن إخوان المسلمين بدل أن يكون حزب إسلامي أصبح حزب سني.
Representatives of the brothers traveled to Turkey to join other opposition groups based outside the country in setting up the Syrian National Council. Although the Free Syrian Army was portrayed in the West as secular and moderate, it was actually controlled by the brothers and
actually controlled by Brotherhood, right?
The radical Wahhabi Salafists.
Radical Wahhabi. Wahhabi is Saudi Arabia and also ISIL. Wahhabi.
In 2013, the Free Syrian Army said it welcomed al-Qaeda in the fight to depose Assad. The plan and vision for the Arab and Muslim Middle East was spelled out in a U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency document from 2012. The document says Salafist groups, the Muslim Brotherhood, and al-Qaeda in Iraq, now known as the Islamic State, are at the forefront of the effort to depose Assad. The Pentagon document predicts the establishment of a declared or undeclared Salafist principality in Syria.
Our top story, new to classified reports have revealed that Washington had prior information about the presence of Takfiri terrorists in Syria and their plan to establish their so-called Islamic State in the heart of the Middle East. The U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency's documents, which date back to 2012 and have been published by an American monitoring group, have shed light on the rise of the Takfiri terrorists and their activities in Syria. Based on the papers, Washington saw the rise of the ISIL as an effective tool to implement the West's policies in the region and to isolate the Syrian government of President Bashar al-Assad. The documents also predicted that the support given by the West, Turkey, and the Persian Gulf Arab states to the Takfiri militants would eventually lead to the establishment of, quote, a Salafist principality in eastern Syria.
Bashar al-Assad and a secular Syrian government stand in the way of the endgame the U.S., Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the Sunni Gulf Emirates have in mind for the Arab world. That endgame, spelled out in the 1990s by the neocons, envisions a Middle East balkanized along religious, tribal, and political lines.
Mm-hmm. So behind the scene, CIA actually supporting to ISIL. Right? Because I just told you, ISIL and also the other extremist group, Brotherhood, and everybody connected at Wafa, Islam Wafa. And so actually against Assad. So this is all conspiracy theories, all in group. The CIA never support ISIL, but how we're going to distinguish? They are going to support Muslim Brotherhood or Wafa or Saudi Arabia, or who's who? Beforehand, several years ago, Saudi Arabia supported ISIL anyway, right? So who knows that? Actually, America sent lots of weapons to militants 3 or 4 years ago, but actually all weapons went to the ISIL, right? So who's doing what?
But you see, there is back in Santiago. This is in 1960s, 70s.
You mean South America?
Yes. You remember, in Central America, there were communist countries uprising, and U.S. wanted to destroy these communist countries.
Yeah, it's famous is like Iran Contra.
So in Central America, U.S. used to send, CIA used to send all the weapons to get it. However, they also want money. The people in guerrilla, they also wanted money.
Who?
Guerrilla.
Oh, guerrilla. Okay.
Wanted money. So what they did was they said, U.S., we want to fight for liberty. Send us all your weapons. CIA, please send us the weapons. But then they will. The guerrillas will sell all the weapons to drug dealers.
Oh, okay.
For cocaine.
Okay.
Right? And
so they sold the weapon.
So
also weapon to drug dealer.
Yes. So also U.S. wanted to destroy the cocaine and drug business, but and U.S. wanted to support the guerrillas.
Actually, guerrilla supported drug traffickers.
Kind of, yes.
When?
60s? 1960s, 70s?
No, late 80.
80, okay, 80.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is a famous story.
Do you know the recent news I've read is more interesting is Africa, okay?
Africa, yes.
And many countries, they try to finish civil war. And United Nations organization, okay? They have lots of child soldiers. Child soldiers.
Actually, so teenagers.
So they decided to make investment for them to training people.
Yes.
And they give them training for to doing work. And what they did is, okay, if you're going to bring weapon, AK-47 is machine gun. Okay, you bring AK-47, and they're going to pay $300. $300. And child soldiers, what they did is, they attacked police station, ammunition.
to get more AK-47.
Yeah. And originally they just sold soldiers, 35,000 people, soldiers, and they planned budget. But actually, how many people bring the weapon to this kind of organizations? 100,000. 100,000 instead of 35,000. 100,000, 3 times bigger than they estimate. Because they attacked police ammunition, so they got the machine gun from them to bring to the United Nations. And then immediately they stopped to give them money. Right?
Yeah.
This is my blog tomorrow.
But in United States, that tactic, I can't remember the detail, but all these what do you call it? Well, basically illegal guns on streets in
the United States.
Yes.
What do you mean illegal gun?
So non-registered numbers are scratched.
Not registered.
Right, numbers are scratched off.
Mm.
So what the gangs use, for murder and stuff. So similar story, and they want to collect all these illegal guns, and it kind of worked. It didn't go to that direction as much as you.
Who? What? I don't understand what you mean.
So in your scenario, in your story, the outcome failed because they end up attacking police station.
Oh, they're attacking police station.
Yes,
okay.
In Africa, right? But in US, it kind of worked. There were no police station attacks in my story.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to collect.
Collect what?
Illegal guns.
What do you mean illegal gun?
Non-registered guns.
What? Non-registered gun.
Because that's the guns that create murder. That's the guns that create shootings.
Okay, this illegal gun means they're going to buy legal gun from civilians.
They will not buy legal guns. This is the gangsters.
How did you get it?
How did they get it? From the black market.
What means illegal gun means try to erase evidence?
Well, no. Illegal gun. Well, unregistered gun, and numbers are scratched.
Why do they need to erase number?
Because that's how you track the guns.
What you mean whenever murder, just they can track the number. Where did they sell? So just erase number.
Well, that will become an anonymous gun, right? Hard to identify where the guns come from.
Oh, so whenever they're just using that gun for murders, massacre, whatever. So if they erase the number, they cannot recognize.
Difficult.
Therefore.
Because from the shape of the bullet, they can identify the gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the shape of the bullet, they can identify the gun. But when they identify the gun, when numbers are scratched, it's hard to identify where it comes from.
Okay, understand. Takashi, what's your opinion? Do you agree with this?
What?
This conspiracy theory. Ohashi's opinion. Ohashi like it.
When I talked to my friend from Middle East, she is from Bangladesh. He told me that it is well known as the nest of terror forces from Turkey and Saudi. Their generating that forces is well known in Middle East, and the countries are backed by United States. So this is famous story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it might be true. And that I have one question about the relationship between Turkey and Syria. As this video is saying, at the time that Arab Spring was decided, by United States, for example, let's say United States.
Mm.
The weapon, they smuggled the weapon from Turkey into Syria. And at the time, it may be good relationship between US and Turkey supporting the United States to smuggle the weapon into Syria. But now, as we can see in the video, that the Erdogan is getting closer to Russia, or they are getting away from NATO. So this means relatively they are going to be closer to Russia or than to support Assad. But Assad and Syria is based on Syria regime. Then Turkey is opposite. Then this relationship on the Muslim factions has been source of fighting. So my question is, how are they really going to work along side by side to make some stable situation in the Middle East?
Exactly what you said. You are right. And just Turkey and Erdogan is currently, he just in his mind, he has very sophisticated situation in his mind. Okay? He is, Erdogan is very close relationship with Russia, and he is against Syria. Beforehand, he very close friend with Syria, but now he's against Syria. But Russia supports Syria, so he cannot against Syria. But he does not want to close relationship with Syria. And also, Erdogan invade Syria and beat Kurd, right? So Russia support Kurd, and so Erdogan is so his mind is very compound. It means sophisticated. This is the current situation. He cannot openly speak out. He cannot say hate Syria. But actually, Erdogan want to join or buy weapon from Russia instead of NATO. And also, Erdogan want to join the Shanghai organization. So, but he don't like Syria. This is the current his mind. But, you know, I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, so there might be some the intersection of different interests from Turkey and Syria, Russia and China.
Yeah. Okay, let's move. We have 5 minutes, so let's move on to Iran. Yeah, Iran. This is the last video for Syria. But I just briefly explain Iran, okay? And summary of Iran. And I try to explain the background of Iran. And first in Japanese. イランはですね、スープリームリーダー、ハメネイ。それからプレジデント、ロハーニ。二ついて、それが拮抗してるんですよ。拮抗。バランス、not balance, just compete again. compete each other. ね、ハメネイはアメリカを未だに批判してるんですよ。ロハーニは経済を優先して、アメリカとの核開発合意を行って、経済制裁を解除することができたんですね。でも、ハメネイは反対してるんですね。で、ロハーニは選挙で選ばれてるけども、候補者を選定する機関はハメネイなんです。
中国って何ですね。
そう。
共産党の代表者選ぶ。
いや、香港。香港は今だから、香港は司法長官、行政長官選定するときに、選定グループがあって1200人。で、それが、 宣伝しないと履行できない。同じ。
そうですね。
だからハメネイの色がかかってないと、ロハにも選挙出れない。で、軍隊もハメネイの配下。で、この国は神聖政治ね。プルトクラシーかな？プルトクラシー。神聖政治、プルトクラシー。シーア派ですね。だから民主主義じゃないんです。で、核開発を中断していて ICBM の開発を行っている。ヒズボラを支援している。ヒズボラ、ヨルダンね、ヒズボラを支援している。この間ヒズボラ、ヨルダンの、首相、ハビビが、サウジアラビアで捕まったけどね。
一個そのいいですか？核中断、ICBM までわかるんですけど、ICBM、
核は核開発、ICBM のロケット。
そうなんですけども、ICBM を持つということは、ほら、例えば、
アメリカを攻撃すると。
対アメリカで作ってることですね。
ICBM は対アメリカ。
ほら、インドとパキスタンみたいな。
長距離だ。
なるほど。
シリアのアサド政権はアラバイトで、アラビってアラバイトね、シーア。そのためスンニ派のサウジとは関係が悪い。イランとは関係ない。イエメンは代理戦争。イランとサウジね。トランプはイランを批判しているが、どこまで彼らとの関係が活性しているのか、まだわからない。で、結局、それをやめよう、例の、なんだっけ、制裁をしようっていうふうに言ってたけど、それは、トランプやめたんですよね。今まで通りです。イランでは中国のように自由にインターネットをつなぐことができない。例えば Facebook や Twitter はアクセス制限されてつながらない。
ツイッターできるんですか？
できない。
中国。
できない。だけど中国の場合は、なんとかな。
全部 WeChat とか、あっちの監視化の仕組み前提ですよね。
最近はVPN がやっぱり監視厳しくなったけど、中国人ってなんか知らないけど、いろいろこう彼ら細工してね、やるんですよ。イランは本当に制限して使えない。そういう意味で規制が厳しい。中国ってのは、規制するんだけどなんか抜け道は必ず作って、やっててもあまり怒らないみたいな。
怒らないんですか？本当ですか？
寛容なんだよね。だから政府に反対する意見を言わなければ。
政府にそう。立てつかなければってことですね。
イランはそうじゃなくても言論自由は全くない。で、罰則が厳しい。ただ、イスラム教なんで罰則厳しいって言うけど、ワッファーブじゃないから、ビヘディングとかね、ストーニングとない。
イランはね。
イラン。
イラン。
で、今後ハメネイが全面的に出てくるとアメリカの関係が悪化する。ロハーニャ核政策を行うのであればアメリカの関係が良くなる可能性が高い。でシリアは、イランの影響下に入ることになる。それでサウジアラビア石油価格の低迷とアメリカのシェールガスのおかげで、もうないよ、力ない。そうなるとイエメンの代理戦争も、これはイエメン代理戦争はアメリカが、サウジに武器撃ったけど、それはもう武器撃って金稼ぐだけで、もともとイエメンでサウジは勝てないんですよね。なんで勝てないかっていうのは、サウジの兵隊ってあんまり戦争強くない。イランと違って。イランも散々戦争やってるから。
いや、おっしゃる通りです。そもそも、サウジの中での兵隊に対する教育っていうのは、20代の中でのルールがあって、いかにその時にミリタリーには属するけれども、立てつかないようにするかなんですよ。
そうなの？
イギリス、僕の友達で、あっちで英語教えてたやつがいて、いろいろ話聞いたことあるんですけども、そもそもなんていうんですかね、教育レベルが難しいので、違うので、軍隊との連携と、そういう、なんだっけな、組織として動くのが難しいみたいな。
だってさ、戦争したことないからさ、イエメンでいくらやったって勝てない。空爆ばっかでしょ？
多分そうですよね。
だから、アメリカとしてはさ、爆弾買ってくれるからありがたいけど。
そう。
だからイランが結局主導権取るんですよ、イエメンはね。そうなるとトルコのエルドアンが狙っているけども、中東の主導権はイランですね。間違いない。エルドアンの場合はですね、オットーマンエンパイアをもう一回再興したい。だけどみんなエルドアンの意見には反対してるんですよね。イランが結局、 パレビっていうか、なんていうの、ペルシャ。ペルシャが中東を制覇する。僕は読んでるね。ニュースバッズがそうでしょ、アメリカはそこまで読んだ上でイランと対峙しようとしてるのかどうかっていうと、読んでるんですよね。アメリカはだからイランが中東を制覇する。イランって、国力持ってるから。だから、ただアメリカが、イランが中東制覇したところでアメリカは何です。オバマの時わかりますけど、アメリカはそのグローバリゼーションのね、あれをもう辞退してるから別にいいと思うんですけどね。かつての。だからそれは義理の息子の関係があるからね。イランに圧力かけるけど、所詮はだけど、イスラエルだから、まあイスラエルも、ね、そこそこ、アラブがどんどん力つけてきたらば、イスラエルは、今は、ネタニヤフがね、いろいろ言ってるけど、もう発言力はそんななくなっちゃいますよね。で、あともうちょっとね、
恥をかかない程度で、なんかこう、一線を引くっていう感じなんですね。
イスラエル？アメリカが。そうじゃない。アメリカはね、そんなね、ことをしなくて、トランプはね、恥をかくと書かないとか、そんな神経持ってなくて、今、テレビさんが言ったように、イスラエルをどう助けてあげるかぐらいの感覚ですよね。で、今後、
さっき宇野さんがおっしゃった、前にもお伺いしたかもしれないですけども。
まだいっぱいあるね。何？
オスマン帝国。
オットマンエンパイア。
オットマンエンパイアを目指しているっていうのは、どこを根拠にそういう発言なんですか？
もうエルドアン一緒に自分で言ってる発言して。
あ、そうなんですか？
俺はこういうふうにやりたいって言ってる
の。オットマン時代を戻すんだと言ってるんですか？
言ってる。
あ、そうなんだ。
そうです。もう昔はトルコは強かった。でも、シリアとかみんな、勘弁してよ、みたいな。で、
まあ大国ですよね。
イランがまあ、サウジはね、サルマンのバカがね、いるけども、あれアホだよね。だからもう、その先はないでしょ。ということで今日はイラン入りかけたけど、もうちょっとビデオ1本やろうと思ったけど、終わりますね。これ1本ね。なんで？もう時間だよ。
時間。
これバシャル遊びでしょ？これもう、イランのビデオもともと入ってないよ。イランね、簡単じゃないね、イランは。君ね、イランはね、簡単。イランはね、重いんですよ、これはね。最初っ端がね、なんと、ファウリード・ザカリアですよ。これは大変ですよ。こんなの君ね、高橋が来週マイク買ってくるからね。これ30分くらい議論になりますよ、これ。ファーリード・ザカリア。僕は好きなの、彼は。ファーリー。だから、2015年のビデオ持ってきたんだよ。ザカリアね。高橋いい？それで。はい。オッケー。お前土曜日は、出るんだよね。
土曜日大丈夫です。
はい、オッケー。じゃあ今日終わります。皆さん、お疲れ様でした。はい、お疲れ様でした。空気が